You're about to enjoy a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today, we are with Lori Holt Pfeiler, the past mayor of Escondido and current San Diego Habitat for Humanity CEO, and she's moving into a new role shortly, and that will be the new CEO of the building industry, the BIA of San Diego. Hello, how are you today, Lori?
I'm doing really well. Pretty exciting times.
You've done a lot, and you've got a lot going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now?
Well, so right now I've been working for San Diego Habitat for Humanity for 9 years, and I love working at Habitat. There's such a need. We all know that there's such a need for housing. And, in the old days, it used to be the bus driver owned a home in the neighborhood, right? That's just the way it was. We all kind of owned a home in our neighborhoods. We went to school with one another. We got to know one another. Nowadays, housing is so far afield, it's difficult. So Habitat, we sell homes to families earning between 50 and 80% of the area median income, which would be that bus driver or the guy who takes care of the animals at the research facility. So I've been doing that for 9 years. Every time we sell a house to a home, sell a home to a family, and we see that they are able to take care of themselves, we know that our society and our community can thrive. So that's been my past.
Well, before that, though, you were the mayor of Escondido. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so I always wanted to run for office so that I could make decisions so that people could lead better lives. And so I ended up serving on the Escondido Council for 18 years, 12 as mayor. And once again, I actually did learn about housing while I was on the council, that you can make decisions about building parks, setting good water rates, making sure the streets are clean, building libraries and streets and freeways and all that kind of thing. But what I actually saw that when families had a home that they could call their own, that is when they would thrive. That's when they could take care of themselves. And so that's what I've been doing at Habitat for the last 9 years. And so serving on the Escondido Council, you learn how difficult it is to get along with 4 other people sometimes, because elected officials come in thinking that they know everything or that they're the ones that are going to make the decision. And then you find out that you really have to get 3 votes. And I always say that there's plenty of work to go around. There's plenty of work to get credit for. Just share it with the other council members, serve the community, make great decisions for the community, and then you build a great community fabric.
Well, that's true. And, collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not the one idea. It's all the ideas melded together and how they create a community. And, back to housing. It's so scarce now. And I think that there is a total misconception of why that is. And I love that you are now going to the BIA from Habitat, because you do have that ground experience and you do understand a lot of the things. And going back to as your service as mayor and council member, all of the things that you see within a community, everyone wants to have a home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's an apartment or a house. But it's becoming so much more difficult now with housing prices, with, all of the construction materials, but even with our land values and all of these different things that people don't really understand. So I love that you have this big picture kind of idea. And I think women tend to be that way a little bit anyway.
I think so too, right?
Yeah. But having that big picture view of the why and the how, and then what the ultimate goal is, and that is, providing more housing because it is scarce. And, when there's a small supply, the demand is great.
Yes.
And then what happens? Everything's more expensive.
And Rebecca, you're the mayor for a city. You understand that. First of all, most of the people that we have in San Diego are our children and our grandchildren, and we don't want them to have to move out. I've heard so many times this is the first generation of kids that will never be able to buy a house in our community. And what does that mean for a community? And I think that in San Marcos as well as Escondido, and every city should claim it, but we know it personally, that you grow up and you know everyone. You went to school with them, and you grow up. You keep track of them, and you walk down the street and you run into people that you know. It's part of that community fabric, right? With the lack of housing, your kids' families are chasing rent, so they're moving all the time. So that even if you have a home, the kids that your kids are going to school with, they don't know each other. They're gonna disappear. So you're losing that sense of community. And then you think about how much is it going to cost to run government when your whole community fabric is falling apart and you don't have that sense of continuity. Like if you can't walk down the street and run into somebody that you know, you've lost something.
Well, and let's talk about businesses, right? Businesses in a community, your neighbors and all of that. Mm-hmm. You will lose that too because it is too expensive. And, moving, and I don't know if you think this, but I think a lot of times in my city, firefighters, sheriff deputies, they're all having to live so far away and their quality of life is degraded too. So really, housing is a quality of life issue.
It really is, because you just think about having to live so far. I think about it as weaving a fabric. So you've got this fabric, the community's weaving. If somebody has to drive an hour, you've dropped a whole stitch. You have a huge hole in your community fabric now. And think about the kids that their parents don't come home till 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. What have they been doing since they got out of school? Don't ask.
Well, it's rolling the dice. Some are probably doing well and others not so much. Yeah, for sure. Well, so let's talk a little bit about you as a person for a minute. Childhood. Do you have a story to share with us that maybe someone doesn't know about you?
Yeah, I know you asked this question. I always just crack up because when I went to school, we didn't get to wear pants. We were still wearing dresses every day. And so I always got to wear the shortest dresses because your dresses had to be as long as your fingertips, and I have short arms.
Oh, I bet everyone was jealous about that.
I was like, your dress is too short. No, it's not. It's just fine. And it was like, okay. So, but I grew up in Chula Vista, and then we moved to Escondido. And so we've been in San Diego County all my life.
Wow, that is wonderful. I grew up in San Diego County, too.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in East County, so Ramona and El Cajon.
Okay.
So I run into people all the time. I keep in touch with a lot of people from high school and all of that. And it's funny how it seems like San Diego County, we have about almost 3.5 million people. You still know a lot of people.
You do. You go to a meeting and it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in such a long time.
It's the smallest county, as you run into people all the time.
They say we're a big city, where you have big city attributes, but we're a little city at heart.
Yeah, that's about right. I think that's true. Yeah. So tell me, what is one word do you think that really describes who you are?
I think I always consider my as fair. You always have to be fair. You have to do right by people and make it right for you as well as for me.
Putting people first. I love that. Yeah. I've noticed that about you. I definitely would
trying to build the bridge and make sure if everybody's needs are not met, we're all still in trouble, right?
Well, that goes back to the fabric of the community. Mm-hmm. You can't have a big hole in the middle of it and have everyone do well. You just can't.
No, we'll all fall through the hole, won't we?
That's exactly right. And, like I tell people all the time, hey, listen, community is everyone doing something, bringing something special to the table. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be everyone's going to be a millionaire or everyone's going to be doing minimum wage jobs. Everyone has to do well. And for everyone to do well, you've got to work together. You've got to go to the businesses in your community. And again, back to, the whole housing thing, that really, people not able to live within their community a lot of times, and they have to commute so far and all of that. It really, I think it does degrade that whole community part.
It does. And some people will tell you, well, we don't want more people in it. But we have to recognize already, if you look on our residential streets, there's so many more cars on every street. The people are already here. They're just not living in a safe place. If you have to put 2 or 3 families in one home, now your single-family home has become multifamily, which we didn't really want to have happen. And then 3 families in one home is not really very safe and caring. More issues, right? And so we say it's like we're already here. We just need to house people safely. We need to improve the supply tremendously to get that better balance.
Yeah, definitely. So, work, life responsibilities. How do you juggle all of that?
How does one do that? So don't you think you have to compartmentalize? You can't get it all done. You cannot get it all done. So you just have to finally decide, okay, done with this part, move on and take care of family and really preserve that balance.
And having grace for yourself, because sometimes, you're like,
grace.
I'm falling short. You
need a lot of grace for yourself.
Absolutely. And, I feel like when you're having grace for yourself, it's easier to give others grace.
Yes.
And, I always say, well, you got to be a little bit flexible in life. You can't just have these hard edges and not just kind of, or the black and white. You got to have a little gray area too.
And don't you find that when you give grace naturally to your friends and you don't give grace to yourself?
It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, if I can give grace to my friend, I need to give that same grace to myself, and then you find that you love yourself much better and you do better in the whole getting work done and getting the whole life work balance done.
And then you're happier, right?
And then you're happier, yeah. And
Definitely.
You're happier with whoever your relationship is, your family and whoever your friends are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as a female leader, what do you think has been one of the most significant barriers?
So what is a significant... Okay, do you want to just say men?
Well, if that's what it is.
So, here you try, even in elected office, you're trying to work and you're trying to get something done, and you realize that the opposite gender doesn't always hear that you can say something, and 5 minutes later, a guy, and nobody will say anything. And 5 minutes later, a man will say the same thing, and suddenly the whole room thinks, oh, God, that was a great idea. And it's like, I thought I just said that a few minutes ago. And I think, so some barriers, I think that we still have some gender issues. If you watch how men engage with one another and get business taken care of, it's very different than how women do that. And I'm not sure that we can do exactly the same thing, but we do need to be able to get to where men and women can come together and business can take place in a very fluid and easy manner. And so I'll give you one example of how that doesn't work very well. Is I attended a golf tournament and helped with the check-in table, and all the guys showed up at 10:30 in the morning, got their lunches, were putting their money out for their mulligans, having a great time, talking to one another, chatting with one another, moving from one group to another, and you're sure that business was going on. There were 2 women that were participating in that golf tournament, and they showed up at 10 to 12. So they missed out on the whole networking experience.
Which networking is vital for business.
Yeah. They just, even if they don't communicate the same way, they still need to come, show their faces, talk to somebody, and say, hey, you're in the concrete business, I'm in the underground utility. What's coming up? What can we do? How can we help?
Well, and again, connections really are helpful in life. I don't think there's any way to conduct any business without those networking connections and people helping people.
Yes.
And
we need to find out how to make those connections between genders. It's just we just need to figure that out. It's not going to be that hard, but it's taken us a while.
Well, I agree with you, because a lot of times, even as a female leader, sometimes people don't want to listen to you. They don't think you have anything important to bring to the table. But I would say that most men, not all men, but most men are open and receptive.
I agree. Yes, for sure.
There are some, obviously, that aren't. And honestly, there are some women that are not
That's right.
willing.
We can't be universal in our whole thing. It's just that kind of you see a prevalence that we need to correct.
Well, it's actually a little bit like political parties, if you ask me. There's going to be the people in the middle that are willing to work with others that are not the same as them. It's the same as genders. I mean, really, in the big
exactly.
picture.
You're right. Yeah.
But if you're not going to be open, I think you're going to be less successful in life.
I agree too. Yeah. Yeah. Be open. Have a good time with everybody.
Right.
Yeah, get to know
Life's
somebody.
too short.
Yeah, get to
right?
know them. It's a new person. Have some conversation. Find out where they're coming from. Find out what book they've read or where they've been, so you can have an idea for yourself.
Right. I always tell people one of my favorite things is meeting new people. I actually sold new homes before. I don't know if you knew that about me. Before I started my own company with my ex and before I got into politics. So we're talking when I was in my early 20s. And this is a long time ago.
Yeah. New people came in every single day.
Every single day. And I remember always looking at them saying, I bet you they're completely different than what I'm seeing as them walking in the door. And I'm excited to know what that is. The people that would walk in the door that would act like they, own the place, they were going to buy this house, they were the ones that were least likely to buy a house. The ones that were kind of quiet and,
very careful.
Yeah, very careful. I remember I had two of them that they were two different buyers, two different developments. I had them walk in and I thought, oh, well, they look like they probably aren't even in the market to buy a house. They paid cash. They had saved their money for so long.
And they were very serious about it.
They were
very
so
careful.
serious.
Yes.
And they wanted to make the right decision and they bought the home cash. So those, I think a lot of times stereotypes.
It's not helpful, is it?
It isn't. And it's really, communicating to a lot of different people. But I always felt like, oh, I don't know who this person is coming in. I'm kind of excited to find out what they are all about because it was someone new, I think it helps you do your job better when you talk to more people.
Yes.
And, communicate and you learn things from them.
You do. And you absolutely do. And it is. And you just have to crack yourself up when you kind of make a story and then you're excited to find out what the real story is.
Right?
Yeah. And then the other part of being a mayor for a city, too, is seeing all of the other organizations that are doing so much for a city that you didn't even know about. That all of the nonprofits that are just stepping up and serving, and what kind of community fabric would we have if they didn't exist?
That's true.
Yeah. The cities can't provide all of the resources, so there's so many others that. And then when you get to know them, somebody will come up with a name. It's like, I wonder what the heck that nonprofit does, and then you find out it's something really crazy and fun.
Yeah, and again, just serving, and I think you're all about service.
Right. It's all you can do is serve.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all you can do.
So how do you think this next journey has chosen you? I think you've gotten a lot of experience from the past, but how do you think it chose you? So
the opportunity to be the CEO and president for the Building Industry Association, it culminates what I did on the city council in a couple of different ways, and then working with Habitat for Humanity. But on the council, it was always trying to build a bridge and finding the thread of something that would pull everybody together. And that was really important also when I chaired SANDAG, the San Diego Association of Governments, because then you had 18 cities that were really, making sure that they're protecting their city. But our region will only do well if we pull together. I mean, we can't have 18 islands. It's we all have to pull together to get in a good spot. And so sometimes it took a little while to find that common thread between the 18 cities, but you could. And then I also had the reputation of saying things that needed to be said that no one wanted to hear.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've always had this soft, quiet voice because people would say, "You just said what?" And it's like, well, you want me to say it again? Yeah.
You're courageous. And
it's a quiet, but I didn't say it harshly or anything. You just kind of say it. This is all of our, and it's also sitting on the same side. We're all on the same side of the table. These problems are our problems. They're not my problem. It's not your problem. Let's sit on the same side of the table and figure out how to solve it together.
And not bullying. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Collaborating. True collaboration.
True collaboration, because there's something here. But everybody's got to hold on to the rope and don't let go.
I liked your analogy of the thread. the thread and connecting everyone together and pulling them together because, to be honest, that's a lot what gets lost, I think, especially in a dynamic culture as we are in today.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really, I think a lot of people have forgotten, you're not the only one in the room here. There's, 20 other people and I'm just using
and your
it.
well-being is part of that other person holding their thread together.
Right.
Yeah, really, we are very well. We are connected, and we don't, like you said, in this society, it's not quite as prevalent. The awareness of that.
So moving into the BIA role, how is what are your goals? Do you have like any certain things you want to get done?
So after a good amount of time, somebody asked me last night what my 10-year goal is, and I said at 10 years, I want to be able to say that we as a region pulled together and we figured out how to house our own. And it's just as simple as that. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of divergent perspectives. You have environmentalists, you have labor, you have NIMBY, so to speak. If you, that's just a part of the conversation, right? There's just a lot of different perspectives, but here we are, a region, a community of children and grandchildren that need a house. And some of us that are older would like to sell our bigger house and buy something smaller that's not available.
And you can't do it because everything's skyrocketing so much.
Yeah, it's awful. Yes, we definitely need to improve the supply.
Well, so that kind of, that makes me have a thought, and that is, it really kind of stems back to understanding all the different parts to this conversation, because housing, it doesn't just happen. There's this whole concept of, developers are rich and developers this, and I know a lot of different people that have been developers, that have been financial people in this whole big picture. I don't see it. I just don't see it. And a lot of the labor, for instance, drywallers, one of my very dear friends, she and her husband own a drywall company. They're doing okay, but
it's a very good job. It's a great job. You can live in San Diego County. And anybody that's going to school that wants to be a drywaller, you can make a very good living doing that work.
And they're not these rich developers as there's this whole concept or this whole thought. And look how long it takes to get through the CEQA process, how long it takes for developments to actually get approved, and those holding costs and all of that. I think lack of understanding of the reason that things cost so much, the reason that our kids have to leave to go elsewhere, the reasons that, rental properties are so expensive now.
All of that. Yeah. So we all have to work together, because the only solution is to increase supply that will drive down price, which nobody wants to hear, then my home will be worth less, except that I do have a home and I can sell it for this price. And if I want to live in San Diego, I'm just trading it for the same.
Right.
So there's no great value for having your home escalate. It just means there's this whole generation that can't even get into the market.
Right.
Right. It's a housing thing. It's really.
Well, so when I'm talking about it and I'm trying to explain it to people because of the lack of understanding, I always talk about it as a ladder.
Yeah.
So you've got the affordable housing that's down at the bottom. Then you've got, and rentals and all of that, things that are more affordable. But then you've got that missing middle, because you can't just go up to $1 million house. It's not.
No, you can't. You can't. Yeah. No, for sure.
So it's that workforce housing that I think is our biggest, greatest need.
It is. It is. Definitely.
And for people that like you and me, because I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But wanting to move down to a less expensive house. I actually had a bigger house. The kids are off in college. My last one's in college now. When I was moving from that bigger house, the family home, I thought, okay, well, I'll just go rent something. Well, rent actually was so expensive. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to actually buy something.
Exactly.
Because it's not a benefit to go and rent something and,
In some ways, the rent was more expensive than your mortgage that you've had for a very long time, which just shows you how out of balance the market is. But yeah, I'd love to be able to buy a condo, have something smaller to take care of, get my bike out, and not have to do any yard work. And a family would be great in the home that we have, the family home.
Right. And how do you do that when that missing middle is missing?
Exactly. And that is true. And even if you talk about the rentals that are subsidized by city governments, they are not allowed to make any more money. And yet, if they make money, there's nowhere for them to go. They'd love to buy a home or move into something different. And so we're really creating a whole class of society that's forced to stay down in low income.
No opportunity for growth because the step is it's missing that middle part.
It's missing that middle. Your ladder has got 3 rungs that are gone, and your legs don't stretch that far to get up to the top.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more. So I'm glad that you have that perspective because I don't want to say I'm expecting big things from you, but I'm excited to see what you're going to do because you do understand what the issues are. And, again, back to, I think that whole educational piece is going to be a big part of the why things happen the way they happen to get to what we actually need.
And for people to understand that why, right? I'll be spending a lot of time out there talking about that and trying to bring people along. It's like, just come along with me. And you know what else? People don't want housing, but a lot of us will say, I would love to live in New York City or some big city where they have all the amenities. Well, they have those amenities because it's dense.
Right. Yeah.
And
not everyone wants density. So it's again,
I need all of it. You need all of that housing.
Which is why I don't agree with state mandates because I think it takes away the character of a community. And, we're all unique. Yes, some people, and I eye downtown and I think, someday I would love to
Me too.
Live down there, walk to the ballpark, walk to the restaurants. I mean, that sounds great.
It does. I just want to do that for a little while.
Right. Right. And have those options and opportunities. But it's not going to be everyone wants that. So, you've got your suburbs, you've got your densely populated areas. The thing I love about San Diego is San Diego County we've got all these different opportunities. One of the reasons is because of our climate.
Yes, for sure.
It is beautiful.
We take that for granted pretty much.
Don't we? Don't we? I mean, we really are. We're very blessed and lucky. Yes. I mean, you wake up and you're like, it's sprinkling outside. Oh gosh, it's bad weather. And people are back east. My sister lives in Virginia and she's like, oh, it's snowing here today and I have to blow off my my driveway. And I'm like,
so sorry. Sorry.
I know, right? But anyway, so, I love your perspective about all of these things. So why do you think this journey that you're on has chosen you? Like, how did you really, there's a lot of different things that I think come into our lives, but how? How do you think that kind of happened?
Somebody told me in this last couple of weeks, he says, well, looks like good behavior paid off. So good behavior of just treating people well, being a moderate, being able to listen, being, as you said, being open to people's thoughts, being able to listen, makes it so that people will trust what you say and what you will bring to the table. So I guess I'm kind of welcome to the table. And I'm going to welcome everyone else to the table.
That's good. Well, and I think it leans back to a really important character trait, and that's listening.
Listening, yep, and treating people fairly and well and doing the right thing. So good behavior pays off. I tell kids that all the time. Your reputation and your integrity will stay with you your entire life. And because of that, I ended up with 2 really great positions that both are mission-driven, both at Habitat, and then the BIA has a great mission as well.
Well, providing housing for people.
Yes, for
sure.
And,
changing that narrative of building is bad. Building is necessary. Building builds communities. It builds places for you to shop, to go congregate.
Raise your family, yes, and to be with your friends.
Educate your kids and all of those things. I mean, building is a necessary part. And I think it's gotten a bad reputation. And no fault of their own, but people live in homes. I've had people say to me, I don't want any more homes built. And back to your point, where are my kids going to live? Where are your kids going to live? Well, they could just move out of here.
Well, I don't want my kids to move out of here.
I don't either. I want to be able to spend time with my grandkids. I don't have any yet, but I assume one day I will.
Yeah. And people and they'll say, I don't want anybody else. And it's like, your house was just built 3 or 5 years ago.
Right.
And aren't you grateful that somebody welcomed you into this community? And can't you be welcoming to somebody else that's actually already part of our community?
Comes back to the listening and understanding and, having an opportunity to really be open to what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at other women that are the next generation of leaders, what would be the advice that you would give them? But I suspect I kind of know where you're going with all of this.
Right. So listening, one of the things that I would say too is speak up. I don't think I spoke up as often as looking back, it's like I needed to speak up a little bit more, but do it respectfully. You can't be hollering at anybody. You just need to speak up. Sometimes women don't stand up for themselves quite as well as we should.
Well, because I think we have this perception based on society that, well, if you're speaking up too much, you're too bold, you're too this, you're too that.
Yeah.
I think it is important and go back to what you just said, speak up, but do it in a nice way. But it's also in your uniquely feminine way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's your voice. Use your own voice. Yeah. So, and I had a mentor, Lorraine Boyce, who was the mayor for the city of Escondido in the 1976. And her husband was a physician, a prominent physician in town. And she was with 4 other men on the council, and they would tell her, "Don't you think you should be making dinner for your husband?"
Oh, gosh.
So those are the words that she would hear,
Yeah.
but she never hesitated to speak up. And she got a lot done under her tenure. And she actually got our city to think about housing in a proactive way and got them to start a housing commission and actually brought some low-income housing into the community, which we'd never had or even entertained the thought. But she just continued to be always respectful, always listening, and then spoke up.
I liked what you said earlier about reputation too.
Yeah.
And it's true. Being respectful in all of the conversations, and even when someone doesn't agree with you, that is it's vital to, moving forward and again, having a good reputation.
Mm-hmm.
You can say something that is completely the opposite of someone else. You can accept what they're saying and realize that you're different.
Mm-hmm.
But also try to work together to find some sort of consensus of how you meld those, again, back to melding those voices together.
And like you said earlier, meeting somebody new and hearing that conversation too, what a much more robust life to be open to somebody else's thoughts. Because I always said that too, that's why you have differing viewpoints on the council. It all becomes a little bit moderated. You all give a little bit. But even having the conversations with one-on-one, you learn something. It's like, okay, it's not exactly how I thought it was. I can add this to my understanding of the whole concept.
It's my thought and their thought.
Yes, exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful wisdom. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming and speaking to us today and sharing all that you're doing. I'm excited to see what you do next.
And me too. I'm very excited. It'll be a very interesting journey for sure, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Well, and I'm so glad that you're doing this because this is so needed. We need to mentor and let young women know they can do anything they want.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yep,
Thank you very much, Lori.
All right, thanks.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
You have been listening to a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands. Find more stories at cloudcast.us.